I have a few of these round cedar planters that I've made, and I wanted to make a longer version of this to see how it turns out. The original planters I made are roughly 9 inches in diameter. I just took that same measurement and applied it to this new template. I just drew two 9-inch circles on either side and connected those together. So this template for the new design is going to measure 9 inches wide by 18 inches long. With the template, you could really make it any size you want. It's just at a certain point, you're gonna have to start gluing boards together. I made my template to be a representation of the top piece just because I thought that would be more useful because I can use this one piece for both the top and the bottom. The layout for the top is a little bit more critical because I am gonna be cutting out this 1-inch border. I wanna make sure I'm avoiding potential problem spots like this. Because the bottom will be one solid piece, I'm not as concerned with what it looks like. I'll actually be including this entire spot right here. And with this, we just got to trace the outside. There's multiple ways to get these pieces to their final shape. I'll just be using my belt sander to shape the outsides, and then switch to my spindle sander to shape the inside portion. For this bottom piece, I'll be adding a total of 6 drain holes that have a diameter of 5/8. Now that the top and bottom pieces are done, it's time to move on to actually making the sidewalls for this planter. I'm just going to be using some regular cedar fence picket for that, and not the treated kind. The surface on the cedar fence pickets is pretty rough. You can choose to leave that as is. It's kind of just a personal preference, but I'm going to be planing mine down. I just think that looks so much better with a nice smooth surface. This also allows me to reduce the thickness from a 1/2 inch to my desired thickness of 3/8. I'm going to be cutting these fence pickets into 9-inch long sections. If I was going to be making a whole bunch of these, this would be a great opportunity to set up some sort of a stop block, so that way I could streamline the process and make sure my cuts are more consistent. Now it's time to turn these into a whole bunch of strips that measure 1.25 inches wide. Use whatever method you're most comfortable with. I'm going to be using my bandsaw to cut these, only because I'm cleaning my table saw at the moment. The first time I assembled one of these, it was honestly kind of a pain in the ass. Because there's so many different pieces, it just kept falling over on me. So what I like to do is get the top and bottom piece and set up all the little strips of wood around it, holding that in place with a corner clamp that I've removed 3 of the corners from. So it's essentially just a strap holding that wood in place. And then I can tighten the clamp, pull this top piece up, grab a rubber band, and that's going to hold pressure on that top. I like to position the top ring where it sits an inch below the top of the planter. I did make a version where that ring was flush with the top of the planter. I just didn't really care for how that looked. Depending on the look or the spacing you're going for, the strips of wood along the round portion of this planter are probably going to need to be shaved down a little bit. What worked best for me was working on one strip at a time, shaving those sides down until I was happy with how it fit with the ones directly next to it. The hand shaving works best for strips with no defects. When you get one that has a little knot in it, it kind of sucks. The last major step for this planter is going to be attaching the feet or legs. I already had these ones pre-cut, and I just took those from a scrap piece of 2x6 cedar that I had. You can make your legs whatever dimensions you'd like, but mine are going to measure 1¼ inch by 1 5/8, and they're going to be 2 inches tall. For the small cedar planters, I only put 4 legs on those, but for this larger one, I'm thinking about going with 5. I originally had 6 on here. I thought that looked good as well. I just like the one with 5 just a little bit better. And to attach these legs, I'm just going to be using dowels and wood glue. The only thing left to do now on this is final sanding. I really like the look of those original round planters, but I will say that I prefer the look of this new design. I'm in the process of making a few slight variations of this planter. I want to see what one looks like where the strips of wood are rounded on the top. I also want to see what one looks like with slightly larger dimensions. I'll be making one that's 30 inches long instead of the 18, and I'll also probably be an inch or so taller. When I finish up with both of those designs, I'll put them up on my Instagram so you can check it out there. Like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.